What's up, guys?
What's up?
Big Dave. I like to call him the Mad
Josh.
Scientist because we're the Mad Athletes crew. So obviously, you guys have heard my voice and seen me a lot. I believe this is day 9. We're going over the Tabata front rack hold, Russian
Nice.
kettlebell swings, and then the side bends. And I want to get his ideas on it because honestly, he's had like 3 times as much experience as I have. So
I'm just old.
Just old.
It just
So,
means I'm old.
but just going over today's workout. No. 50 unbroken kettlebell swings,
Yeah.
just Russian height. I really like to use this to kind of warm up posterior chain,
Yeah,
low
that's one
back,
of my
especially
favorite
the
moves.
core, and to kind of really turn on the glutes because honestly that's all part of that spinal erector and everything that goes up there. And then go into 100 barbell side bends. I ended up doing mine unbroken, especially to warm up. Again, more spinal erectors, getting that lateral motion from the spine, going into obliques, even a little bit of that top side of the IT band and things like that. Then not finishing, but then going into a heavy Anderson squat, which is a front squat in which you start from the bottom.
Yeah.
And then whatever weight that you choose feels heavy for you today, you're gonna do a Tabata for 8 rounds, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off of a front rack hold. So, what are your thoughts,
And I
Dave?
love the Tabata at the end. I love that.
And we watched it. I was dying.
Yeah, that's such a great way to finish that. Your core is pretty freaking smashed
Yeah.
at that point. So I love, we'll start from the top. I love the kettlebell swings. That's one of my secret get strong movements that people a lot of times skip over. When you're trying to get stronger, like we always start core to extremity, right? So
Correct.
you know I do a lot of GHDs and things like that, but I always throw in heavy Russian kettlebell swings. And so I love that movement to start off with. And 50's perfect. The perfect number, really. I put that in I put that in warm-ups all the time. The side bends is probably something that is left out a lot.
A lot.
Yeah. And so that's super cool for getting that side. And you're right, like
Spinal
the IT band,
erectors, all
the
of it.
erectors, man, that's a great move. I definitely think just be careful and make sure it's a weight where you have to control that. I'm sure in your video, like you definitely control, you can see it.
Side.
That side to side. Don't rush that. Be very deliberate about that movement. And then Anderson squat, man, we used to call those dead stop.
Dead stop front squats. Yep.
Yeah, before we knew who Anderson was.
Right.
But yeah, I love those. That's such a challenge right there to just be at the bottom and then tighten up and come out. You want to make sure that your breath control is very important in that movement. And then, man, I love Tabata everything, but especially these Tabata front rack holds. Probably man, that's just the best finisher. You could not put a better finisher on that.
And it's so sneaky.
Yeah.
Like the first round, you're like, okay, that was not bad, and then all of a sudden, like your shoulders start to go, your traps, and all of a sudden, the rhomboid.
You're starting to round. You have to fight that. You have to really fight that.
Trying that
Keep
extension.
that chest high, extend.
Yeah.
Keep your abs tight because you're gonna want to crumble.
Always.
And you have to mentally make yourself not crumble.
Yep.
Right. You don't want to round that back. You really want to drive up and extend yourself as much as you can. And the breathing comes into effect in like 2 or 3 of these. The heavy Anderson, the Tabata, you're gonna have to breathe properly. Man, I love it. This is great.
What are your thoughts on, especially with the purpose of training core and trying to obviously look good naked and keep shredded and stuff like that? What's your thoughts on belts?
So I normally, unless there's an injury, you're predisposed to injury, I think you should avoid belts unless you're at 90%, 85, 90% and up.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're talking percentage-wise, right?
Percentage of your max, back squat. Right. So if you're, if your back squat, if you're close to 90% of your max, what's your max? 300 something, 380 or whatever that is.
A little over 400 from a back squat.
400, right. So over 400. So once you hit 90%, I think you should start putting a belt on.
Yeah, 360 or better.
Yeah. Below that, you don't need it. You want to train that. That's the whole purpose of this, to get stronger, is train that core, train that transverse abdominals to be stronger. And then, of course, we're all vain to a certain degree, right? And so you want to get the abs, you want to look good too.
Right.
And traditionally, if you do CrossFit, a lot of times CrossFitters tend to look more blocky, right? And they don't have that bodybuilding taper.
Right.
But you can get that
Yep.
pretty easily if you just add in a little bit.
Yep.
Plus, I'm a firm believer that, I mean, my background is boxing, and we worked abs and core all the time, every day. And so I think that should be in your training anyway.
Yep.
Not just to get stronger, because some of this stuff like the Russian swings, the Anderson squats, like we do that to strengthen the core.
Correct.
You know, and traditionally, like if you're doing crunches or rotations with no weight, you're trying to shape it, which I don't like that word, but you're trying to do that. That still helps build the strength,
Right.
You know, and even if you go back to any sport, like you're in football, like you have to rotate. Almost all sports have a rotational component.
I mean, every time you walk around, move around, it's all part of the rotation.
So I love that,
Yeah.
and you know, like I said, being from boxing background, like you want to do abs all the time, abs every day.
Yep. And as you guys can see, I basically finished the Russian kettlebell swings and the side bends, and now my clock starts for the heavy Anderson squat.
I love that.
Is it
So good.
necessary that someone should go unbroken on either one of these moves?
No, I don't think you have to. I think you can set it down, catch your breath, put it
Yeah.
back. If you're at that level and you want to push, like you know, obviously are an advanced athlete, you're a professional athlete, right? So you can try to push that, but you don't have to by any means. You're still going to get the benefits even by breaking it up.
Yeah. Now I chose weights that I know that I can go unbroken, and it's still a challenge for me. Like I believe the kettlebell that I chose was 53 pounds on this one, and then an empty 45-pound barbell. I could add a little bit and break it up to get a little bit more, I guess, time to rest in between and stuff like that, and that would be like the next step. Say if
I love the
chose to go-
barbell with the. Used to we would do it with dumbbells.
Yep.
And I like the barbell way better.
I like the
I always like.
I like the
barbell.
range of motion so much more on that. It
Yeah.
allows you to compact. You know, you get to compact to the lats a little bit more of that, especially that upper back, and especially with CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting. I mean, everything derives from some sort of rack position, front rack, back rack, stuff like that. So being able to train more time in that position, I think, is better.
You need to be really comfortable with the
yeah.
bar on your back and in your
Yes.
front rack, and so you have both of those really in three places, and then you know you're hinging from the kettlebell swings. So it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I really like that. And as you know too, because Dave's been my coach for a couple years, about 15 months ago, I ruptured 2 discs in my low back squatting.
And then look at you on this Anderson, man.
Yeah, under 90% with a belt.
Yeah.
And without proper bracing and stuff like that.
So,
Thank you, Siri.
thanks, Siri.
But yeah, without proper bracing and stuff, even with a belt, and I was right around 80% or so. You know, we're tempo pause back squats.
Yeah.
But I just pitched forward on my toes, and it shot all the pressure out to one side of my back, and I blew out the L4, L5, and L5S1.
Yeah, that was hardcore.
In my back. So I mean, now I'm 15 months away from that, and you know, we just did it was probably 2 months ago when we did our last heavy fight an hour 1 reps and stuff like that, and you know,
We're about to do that again in a week.
beltless, I'm 385 pretty easily. I don't want to say easily, but I can
Comfortably.
comfortably,
Comfortably.
yeah, confidently and comfortably do 385
Not easy,
on
but
a back
comfortable.
spot.
Yeah.
And today we just got out of a couple different qualifier workouts, and I had practice and games, and we're in season right now for football. I just went up to 255 on an Anderson squat, and honestly, if you've never done a bottoms
hard.
up front
That's
squat
wicked
and
hard.
trying to brace from the bottom, maybe if you've done a lot of cleans and stuff like that, honestly, there's still no carryover from trying to brace from something heavy, and because there's no stretch.
There's something
reflex.
about when you catch it, it makes it. Your body just tightens, right?
and you get a bounce out of
This
it.
is different. Like you
100%.
have to you really have to set up properly.
Yeah. I think
And you've already fatigued. Think about this. This is what's great about that is you've already fatigued with the kettlebell swings and the side bend. So man,
you're already getting the core in there.
it's really good.
I think
It's such a great core movement.
best bottoms up Anderson squat ever from front rack is maybe 285.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean I've done
And what do you weigh?
175.
Yeah, that's really good.
So yeah, I'm a little over 100 pounds
Look
more
at
than
this.
that.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, I mean this is a very, very humbling movement.
Nice.
And notice how my setup too, I am just at, if not just a hair below parallel.
Yeah.
On this, you do not have to go from maximal depth in the bottom.
No, yeah.
That will significantly diminish the load and stuff like that. I prefer to start a little bit higher than maximal depth on this.
If you're trying to train your depth, I wouldn't use the Anderson squat.
No,
to do
for
that.
sure
I would
not.
Definitely.
It's a difficult position to even get into for people that have done and trained these. 'Cause I
Yeah.
have done these a little bit, but yeah, trying to actually get in the bottom and truly start from nothing, absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, most people it's difficult enough just to get set underneath it and tight before you can stand.
Yeah, if you haven't done them, I would start really light.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure.
And get comfortable with that movement first and just bracing from the bottom and then
Yeah.
driving up. Yeah, it definitely affects it because a lot of people tend to pitch forward as they go heavy too quick and they pitch forward.
Yep.
That's a pretty common thing. It's actually good help for you to practice that so that you learn how to drive your elbows up. James is going to jump in the way.
I yelled at him.
Yeah, you're like, get out of the way. But it is really good practice for you to like drive elbows up, keep that chest high. But I would definitely start at a lighter weight and then gradually work your way up.
Now, if you didn't have the ability to set up a squat rack this low, do you think a pause
Boxes.
Do you think a pause front squat would be a good idea?
But I love pause squats. It's
Yeah.
different. It's a different
because you're turned from the top, right?
right. And so if you are going to train the bottom position, pause squats are great for that.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want to get comfortable at the bottom. But Anderson is different because it forces you to brace your core from dead stop, from nothing, and you have to learn how to tighten that from nothing.
From zero.
And so it's a different stimulus.
Boxes, plates.
I would if you want to do the Anderson and you don't have a rack, like boxes and plates, right? You still want to add in your program some pause squats.
What if you did
for
something?
sure.
What if you did set up? If you had the possibility, or you don't have a barbell, or you could use like kettlebells or dumbbells.
Yeah, kettlebells you could use, and dumbbells for sure.
Yeah.
They change the stimulus a little bit, but you're still training that position.
Yeah.
And so I like that.
Yeah.
Any odd object, actually, although like we had the guy today working with the sandbag, that definitely pulls you forward a little bit
Yes,
more.
it does.
You know, but
that
you
could
can use
easily
just
be-
about anything.
That could easily, almost a sandbag might even be easier than kettlebells.
Yeah, I think so.
If you set it up on like a box and you were running at the
You're-
bottom, you just hold it into your chest. That might be.
It forces you to try to hold that
Correct,
chest upright and not round over.
I feel like that you probably have a little bit more carryover from something like that versus a dumbbell and a
Yes,
kettlebell.
Dumbbells can be easy because you can rest them on your shoulder.
Correct.
It's easier to keep your elbows
Yeah.
up.
Kettlebells are a little bit harder, but I do like the unilateral work with them.
Yeah.
But the loading will be significantly less, and you wouldn't have as much fatigue on the median part of the core. And when I say that, I mean chest down. You'd get more posterior chain up in the shoulders, traps, deltoids, rhomboids, lats using kettlebells or dumbbells because it's going to be much more upper back dominant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would prefer.
So with this workout, I mean, it really would change the workout if you did this. Think about if you did it with dumbbells or kettlebells.
Yeah.
You know, like it definitely would change it. You would still totally smash your core, but just in a different kind of a way.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of actually coming back and doing it in those different ways. You know,
If you were to do...
think about that. You could totally make it a dumbbell.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
You could Russian swing a dumbbell.
Yep.
And then you could side bends with dumbbells, and then Anderson squat with dumbbells, and then Tabata front rack hold.
Yeah.
It would change it.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably much more challenging with the barbell.
That's a good point, because if you do a kettlebell or dumbbell or just a unilateral work, especially on the side bend specifically, load it one side. Don't load it both.
Right.
And I would like to put the hand up on this side so you would train all on one side. So you could do like 50 on one
50,
side
and then switch 50.
I
Yeah.
would prefer that because if you put it in both hands, it actually evens itself out.
Yeah, it's not as
And it does
challenging.
not train your core. It'll train your grip, your upper back, your traps for sure, but it's kind of defeating the purpose of this core
Right.
program. So
Yeah, if you did it with dumbbells, or kettlebells, like that would definitely be a grip.
yes.
That would be grip intensive for sure.
Very much so. So as we kind of get into what I'm going to call the real meat of this whole thing is this Tabata front rack hold.
Look at that, man. I love it.
it-
You're shaking.
Yep, the whole body starts to go. You feel it from the legs, the core, the back,
So
the
good.
shoulders. First 2 rounds, maybe 3 or 4 rounds actually, first half, I really didn't feel terrible through it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I want to say round 4 or 5 kicks in, It was very difficult.
Like most Tabatas.
Yes.
The
for
first three
sure.
rounds are usually pretty easy.
Yeah, it starts to add up quickly. 'Cause, I mean, 10 seconds is really nothing, to
Yeah.
be honest
So
with you.
I think front rack holds are in general underutilized.
Yes.
Right. And I forget to put them in too, in programming. And then I'm like, oh yeah, well, we need
Yeah.
some front rack holds, and I'll throw those in. And so it's just so good at core stabilization and in getting you comfortable in under the barbell at a heavy weight.
Yes.
So this can help lead to better cleans, better front squats, like all of that stuff.
Yep.
A
lot of that
Look
stuff.
at that. Yeah. It's getting
Yeah.
good now.
Yeah, you can start to see, especially for me, my front rack isn't the greatest. I have a tough time keeping that full grip on the bar in those moments. I'm already starting to feel
I'm
it now.
like trying to my
Yeah.
little pinky pops out.
Fingertips and stuff like that. So, do you think it's necessary to keep a full grip on
No.
this one specifically?
I don't. I mean, you can try, but I don't think it's necessary. It all translates to sort of your goal. Like obviously, we're working a lot of core, but if when you clean it, that's not going to happen. Because ultimately, that's why we front squat and why we do those things. Then it should be, similar to your clean. But I mean, ideally, you would want to be able to do that. But I don't know a lot of people that can. I don't know almost anybody that can keep a full grip
Not unless you're
on their bottom of their clean and it's heavy.
Not unless you put
anybody.
a ton of time into weightlifting and you're like upper echelon, elite level kind of.
I do know some folks like Chad Vaughn likes to do wraps. He likes to wrap it
Yep,
and then
work that front rack.
front rack with the wrap.
This would be a great one for that.
Yeah.
If you have straps and you want to wrap your hands in there, or if you had limited mobility, going to grab onto the strap rather than going through. I know Tom Soroka does a ton of that stuff from strongman and powerlifting background. What about going into maybe like a scorpion or crossover grip, or even a zombie squat or zombie setup, I guess?
You can if you're training your core.
Correct.
In general, I don't like that because, I mean, for CrossFitters and for most of what we do, why do we front squat? To get better at our clean.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And you're never going to clean like this ever. Right?
Nope.
And so that's why.
See how
Dude, that's awesome.
hands on my
You're
knees
like,
already.
oh, this sucks.
So yeah, preferably that's how.
Dude, I'm going to do this. I haven't done this. I'm going to do it. I like it.
That's how I was taught how to front squat. We had these little blue,
for sure, same.
things.
I had the blue thing,
and back in the
that.
day in football and stuff like that, and whatnot. Yeah, you can look at my face. I'm grimacing super hard here to try and finish.
I always hated front squats back then because I felt like there wasn't really a purpose for them.
There you go.
Right? So back squats were definitely, trying
Much
to get
more
stronger.
carryover.
Check out those abs.
Bam. There you
Boom.
go.
Nice, man. I really love this, actually. I think I am going to do it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good job.
Day number 9. So
Good job.
this is the first time that we go through something like this with the front rack hold, Anderson. Keep track of what you use for movements, weights. I mean, by movements, if you use a sandbag, if you use something different besides a barbell, even if you use a different kind of barbell, right? I mean, there's. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole, but there's 10
for sure.
Whatever it is, use that for carryover.
Dude, what if you use an axle bar?
Oh man, that would be terrible. Yeah. No, trying to go through all this stuff, and then in a couple weeks here when we go it again, and then again for a third time, the goal would be able to increasingly add weight.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's say if you went through this one, Dave. Last question here, and you didn't finish, you weren't able to finish the front rack hold. How would you scale that back? Let's say if I would imagine when
I think so. It would depend on how close I was.
Yeah.
So let's say on the front rack hold, I got let's say I got 6 rounds.
Okay.
I would keep it the same the next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try and get 7
But
or
if I
8.
got like 4 rounds, then I might drop the weight a little bit.
Yeah. And that might
And
be,
since you're doing it 3 times, right?
Yeah.
So then let's say you finish everything, and you finish your front rack hold. The next time I'm going up for sure. If I can complete it at a certain weight, I'm going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not a lot, maybe only 5s or even 2.5s,
Does not
but
take a
I'm
lot.
going up.
Yeah. Especially when you're talking about a Tabata where you're under tension for
Right.
2 minutes and 40 seconds?
Because ideally, like, think about this. Like, even if you kept the kettlebell swings the same, the side bends is just empty barbell, right?
Yep.
And then let's say you went up a little bit in your Anderson squat.
Yep.
So you're going to be a little more fatigued, but I would still go up to, 5 pounds, something like that
Yeah.
on the Tabata hold.
Yeah, I did my Tabata at my heavy Anderson front squat.
Oh, that's ideal. That would be your goal, like, let's get it,
Yeah.
let's do it the same.
So for me, I gotta up that Anderson squat a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
With dumbbells, that might be harder to go up if you don't have a wide variety of dumbbells.
True.
But you could definitely try. I mean, when I first started working, I was in my garage with nothing. So I use paint cans and all sorts of stuff. And so you can strap something to your dumbbell or tape something to your dumbbell and add a little weight for sure if you have to.
Yeah. Or if you have bands and you hang something
bands
from
are
your barbell.
phenomenal, and they're not expensive. So
no, but that significantly changes a lot.
You
of
hang bands from me. You're gonna love that.
You don't even have to go very heavy for that. Trust me.
Not at all.
Something like that.
That's
Cool.
definitely some core stability there, and shoulders and everything. Yeah, I really like this. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully in a couple weeks I get Dave to come back and watch my second.
Yes,
round. So
yes.
stay tuned, guys. Keep
Good
working. Remember, 42 days. We're about a quarter of the way right now. So
Yeah.
keep it up.
Rock and roll.